Hi, you guys. Thank you for joining me this evening on Robin Hood Diaries. It's going to be an interesting show tonight, as you can probably maybe imagine from my shorts earlier today. So let's dive in and not waste any time. This show is supposed to be about, or is going to be about, several things. One primarily is all the stuff that Sean had to do, as I said in the previews, after he did phone sex before he worked for the county, which was a very dark, dark time for him. My second partner had just passed away. My father had helped me through my first partner passing away in '88 and my second partner passing away in 90-ish. So that certainly helped. And then I went into a period of I actually, had a problem with drinking several months after that, as you can imagine, after Johnny, who was the second one. My dad helped me through that, thank God. Not entirely, because I picked it up again a little bit before I met my husband. It's no longer a problem, never was really liking it to begin with. But anyway, so in this dark period of time, I had no money. I wasn't working in the industry. I had no money. I'd lived on my own since I was 17. I had to move out when I was 17, get my own apartment for $450 a month in Laurel Canyon on Stanley Hills Drive with my friend, whose name was Gwen Wells, who co-starred in the movie Nashville, who was dating Richard Perry, who was a music producer, who also lived with her. I lived beneath him. In fact, they gifted me with an signed Andy Warhol poster, which somehow went missing. But anyway, so I was having to do a lot of things at this time between Johnny and between working for the county, struggling desperately for money. I had a tiny apartment on Hollywood Boulevard that I had gotten when I was doing phone sex, and I just was, trying to hold on to that one cheap little apartment on Hollywood Boulevard, believe it or not. So Sean's desperate for money. So Sean, oh my God, how many things? Let's see. First, I applied to be a go-go dancer at Rage. Get that. So I applied through the Advocate, largest LGBTQA plus newspaper in the country. That's actually how I got my county job. They were advertising the back of the Advocate. So I answered this ad for go-go dancer at Rage. I got a reply, and they wanted to see pictures of me in a bathing suit. Not happening. But I was tempted. I was really, really tempted, but I backed off of that one. Then I was searching around to be a bar back, because I didn't qualify as a bartender, but I could do bar backing. I did it in catering and all kinds of other stuff. I worked as a waiter at El Cholo on Western Avenue in Wilshire. I never mentioned that either. Third restaurant I had to wait tables at. Waiting tables. Anyway, so now we're, jumping ahead quite a few years. So Revolver offers me a barback job at Revolver, which is actually the first gay bar I actually legally went into when I turned 21. And guess what? Waited all that time, they didn't card me. So chickened out on the barback thing, but this time I was desperate. I didn't do the go-go dancing. I didn't do the barbacking. I had nothing, and I appealed to my father. Never had to appeal to him, but he had nothing either. He was forever struggling. But knowing that I was trying to hold on to this apartment on Hollywood Boulevard, he came by. I remember specifically that day, I had just gotten a little puppy, believe it or not, which I had to have another family member take care of eventually, because I couldn't afford to. My father came. He had he had money rolled up in a rubber band and handed it to me. And he said, "I'm not going to take it back." And so anyway, that helped me out of that. So in getting my footing a little bit there, which in the apartment on Hollywood Boulevard that I had paid for with my phone sex money to move into, I then pursued bars on Santa Monica Boulevard in what they call Boys Town, WeHo, Ground Central, and I was offered a job at a bar called Trunks as a bouncer, doorman. I had to buy like a mag light, like one of these like mag ass lights, to just look, not only look official, but to bust somebody up with if I needed to, which I'll get to. So they hire me cash cold cash end of every night. Sorry, IRS. And sue me. You can have that job. Audit me on that job. Good luck. Uh, so I'm bouncer doorman at Trunks with my big old mag light, checking IDs, dealing with drunks all the time at the door, coming in the door, going out the door. I did not like that job. But we got to do what we got to do, right? So I was bouncer at Trunks. And I remember one night there was a fight that broke out at the pool table, and they came running to me like I'm security, asking me to break up the fight. I didn't break it up in the sense that I jumped in between the two guys, but I was hollering and trying to talk some sense into everybody, and there's not going to be any fight in a gay bar in West Hollywood. Anyway, no, I shouldn't say that. So, not like I've seen in other bars. So, I'm bouncer there. So I'm there for a while. I'm barely making it. I'm like the cold cash at the end of the evening after all the bartenders get tipped out and everything was really, I don't know, I think it was like 40 a night or something. It came to about 40, 50 a night I was clearing in cash. When I was doing phone sex, there was one of my girls named Bridget, and she had a roommate, and I thank God I've forgotten his name. Let's just say Roy or whatever. I don't know, some icky name. Let's give him an icky name, and because he was icky. So really cute though. But so he knew I was that I was bouncing at, or whatever you call it, doormanning, bouncing, bouncering at Trunks. So I had met him through Bridget, and he kind of had a crush on me. And I always got the weird ones. Didn't we all? So he knows now I'm a bouncer at Trunks, so now he's coming by all the time because I'm nailed down at a location. Isn't that great? When they find out where you're at, you can't shake them. So that was the situation I was in. And I'm really hungry, you guys. I was so hungry. I actually went back to my dad after or while I was bouncing and told him, about the go-go dancing and whatever. And again, he gave me a rolled up wad of cash in a rubber band. So not quite the absentee father to me in the 80s and 90s, but so this guy starts like oxtaying me, STALKED, at Trunks. And he's coming by like every night, and there's this little area behind where you bounce, dorm, whatever you call what I was doing, a little bit of everything, except that. Didn't like that bar. So this little area, but behind me where there's like, where you at IHOP where you'd sit like waiting to be seated or whatever. There's a little area behind me. Why? I don't know. Who's going to be sitting around the bouncer? Well, somebody is. So he would come by every night, every other night, and he had this gig that he was like hell bent on me doing with him because he knew how bad I needed money. And nice guy, kind of oddly creepy way. Again, I always got the weird ones. His proposal to me is that I got to dance around this one. Well, it's racy, but it's not graphic. His gig that he wanted to start with me, like on a regular basis, as like a little cottage industry, was that he had clients that were looking for folks to do stuff. And his idea was to be at this client's place and on a paid basis, $500 a pop, divided 50-50, $250 a pop for each of us, obviously. So the idea is that he's supposed to be in a cage, like a dog cage, like a dog kennel cage thing, and God knows what, wearing or unwearing or not wearing, I don't even want to think. I really tried to push this one out of my head as close as I came, like not very close, to considering it. I couldn't get the visuals out of my head without laughing because I'd already done phone sex. So the whole idea to me was like, it was ludicrous to begin with. But I was hungry. Didn't do it though, guys. Anyway, so the gig was he was going to be in this cage, doing whatever, looking like whatever, wearing whatever or not. And I was supposed to be a domineering presence in the room, clad in whatever, I don't know. It wouldn't have been nothing. And be domineering. Let's put it that way. That we were attracted to each other. We're supposed to be. He was really cute, but no thanks. And then we do this routine. It's not like super like that kind of routine, but lots of dancing around that kind of routine. You know what I mean? A very bizarre kind of foreplay. Let's put it that way. And he had it all mapped out. How it would be and who brings the cage. I don't know, you guys. How was he planning on giving? Maybe it was at his place. I don't know. Or there was a portable cage. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it over. He kept coming by Trunks and trying to pitch it to me. And I finally said, no, look, not only am I not going to do your little dog cage routine. Nah, couldn't do that. I just couldn't imagine myself being a dominatrix to somebody in a cage, even for 500 a throw. I don't know. I just couldn't picture it. No. So anyway, I let him know not only that I wasn't going to do the gig, but he really was not welcome at Trunks anymore. The bar. I was not spokesman for Trunks, the bar, but I basically said, you gotta stop. I'm working, and we can't be doing this, because he would sit and chat with me while I'm like checking IDs and like making sure people aren't like hammered or whatever. So that's my story, I guess. I think I covered everything. Yeah, go-go dancing and all that good stuff. I don't know, you guys. It was rough. It was rough. It was a rough time. And a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, right? So from sex to all that stuff, bar backing, go-go dancing, and breaking up fights in gay bars, and stalking from this cage routine. I never got quite the details on what was supposed to go down in the cage with me. I'm not in the cage. I made lots of things very clear, and it never happened. So anyway, we're over. Oh my goodness, 12 minutes. I hope it was fun. Like I said, I was in a bit of a mood today. You can tell by my shorts, but I'm good now. And I'm always better when I talk to you guys. Honestly, literally, for the rest of the evening. Okay, gotta load this. It's live, remember? Love you. Bye. And do not do anything I wouldn't do, especially vis-a-vis this story. See ya.